Hello, good morning. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning, and it's actually pretty nice temperature-wise right now, which is great. That's why I'm out walking. Part of me was like, I don't really want to. I woke up at like 6:45, and where the fuck am I gonna go? I don't know. I guess I'm gonna go this way. But yeah, it's like in the 70s, I think, right now, which is great. That is fantastic. So, I can probably do a longer walk today. But man, I just want to say my dreams were fucking crazy. Like, I don't know, lots of crazy stuff was happening. I didn't write any of it down. But goddamn, it was insane. So I guess I'm just gonna walk this way for a while and see where this goes. But yeah, today's supposed to get decently hot, like 96 or 97, I think. 6-7. But I don't know. Still trying to wake up a little bit. I guess I probably should like think about how I fared this this part of the trip, as I always do, because it's today, tomorrow, and then I'm traveling to the next place. So, how did I like it so far? Well, I do think that I accomplished a lot. But, I don't know. I think that I accomplished a lot, but it's more around, I mean, in the beginning, the goal was to get a clear understanding of what I want to be doing. And I feel like I did do that. I have a trajectory on what I want to work on. And I mean, I did meet some people that were great and very helpful. So I can't really complain there. You know what? We're gonna go this way. I haven't been over here. But I think also, just in general, there's been this like disappointment that I've been feeling around not kind of seeing the things that I was thinking I was going to see. But I think part of it is like, it's like I understand why. So there was, like, for an example, the partner stuff. I understand that even a couple days ago, if I had interacted with the partner before I got everything figured out. That would have made me ultra reliant on the partner. And being ultra reliant on the partner, it would have kind of tanked my ability to be independent, if that makes sense. And it would have kind of done the whole saving thing, which is what we're all trying to avoid here. I say we're all, but like what I'm trying to avoid and what I think oh, what the fuck? Kind of expected this to just keep going, but I guess it doesn't. Oh well. Anyway. But yeah, so I guess the thing is when you don't have a clear direction, I think it makes it really hard to I guess function in a manner that isn't going to kind of lead you down a rabbit hole of, well, there's like the taking it for granted, but then there's also like, I don't know, like, oh god, this is just all sun right now. I mean, it's not too hot at the moment, but the shade is always still nice. But what I'm trying to say is like, okay, here, let's do a scenario. I think that the scenario will kind of show you what I'm talking about. So let's say that on day like 2 or 3, I meet this partner. We like get along and everything goes well, and I figure out that I'm like finally in a spot where I don't have to worry about my future. Okay. That inherently is kind of getting saved, even if that's not the intention or whatever. Because I didn't internally create that level of safety. Something external did. In this case, it would be the partner, right? And so, if that was to happen, the unfortunate kind of side effect of that would be that so long as the partner is there, I would feel internally safe. And so I'm kind of relying on the partner to be safe. And the problem with that is the partner's not going to be there all the time. And so in the times that the partner isn't there, I'm not safe. Or that feeling of safety goes away. And this is what I'm talking about, where it's like there's like an external reliance, and it becomes this very toxic kind of clingy factor of like, oh my gosh, I always want to be near the partner because the partner makes me feel safe. And that's kind of like, that just fucks everything, because inevitably when the partner needs to go and do things and have their own time and space, I would kind of be left to my own devices to figure stuff out. And so it's not to say that I wouldn't eventually cultivate my own safety, but I think inherently, as long as I didn't get pushed into that moment of uncomfortable kind of it's just that uncomfortable phase where I have to dig within to find that safety and comfort. As long as I don't get pushed to do that, I'm kind of hamstrung because I'm always looking to the partner for that safety. Oh, sorry. So, this is why it's important to really cultivate that level. And this is also why, even though it was disappointing, there was still that subconscious desire to have like a savior. And so not having the partner show up while I'm still grappling, or while I've been still grappling with that idea of safety, it's like this actually makes total sense. Why? Because oh wow, they have a little like market thing. This is cool. The like abandoned lot area. They got all sorts of stuff. That's cool. Let's see. That's neat. It's a cool little thing. Anyway, so I think that's why it's so important to understand that you really do need to cultivate your own safety, your own security, from within. Because as long as you are looking for an external source, whatever external source shows up, they will not be there forever. Whatever it is will not be there forever. And you're just putting a Band-Aid on a problem. And while you do that, you can't really like fix the problem because the Band-Aid is there, so you don't really see it in the same way that an open wound would look. So yeah. So that's what I'm doing now, is I'm setting myself up with all of my habits and my future goals and all of this stuff. It's centered around the idea of feeling stable and secure within. And as long as I do that, then I will be in a much better spot. I ended up coming down the same little path, but I get to explore more because last time I stopped because the sun was too hot. This time I get to walk a little further. I think this is all just apartments and really nothing, but I figure going to the end, might as well. But I can see that this is a little block. I guess I'll come in here and walk around. But yeah, so I think number one, that's why, even though I felt disappointed, it's like I'm glad that it happened that way. Because if it didn't, then I would be ultra reliant on a specific person as opposed to internally being reliant on myself to feel safe and secure. And I feel like I'm working on the specifics, but, I see the path clearly now. So I think in this next 2 weeks, I'm gonna be able to really kind of settle, if that makes sense. Now, I will say that I don't want to trade the partner security for a different object security instead. So that's I definitely don't want to do that. Kind of curious, what is this? This is just a bunch of grass and trees over here. I don't know, we'll see. But so it shouldn't, so the cultivating the stuff, yeah, this is just, you can see behind me, this is just the end of the road, as it were. So but yeah, so this is where it's I gotta be really careful about trying to make the routine the safety or something else, because regardless if it's an external source, that won't be really to my benefit. That'll just make it longer for me to get what I need to actually get done. So yeah, thinking about it, I think I can. No, am I just fucked here and I have to go around? I thought I could just keep going. I think I can keep going. Maybe? Does it allow me to leave? Okay. I'm literally just trapped. Okay. Well. I guess we'll go around. Anyway, so really, I guess the question becomes, how do you, on a fundamental level, how do you cultivate the inner safety and security? Because obviously, relying on myself, it's obviously part of it, right? But on a deeper level, it's not about the physical, like, acts that you do. That's never been it. So that's really not it. What it is it is a profound internal understanding that no matter where you are safe and you are secure. So it allows for you to not have to deal with changes. Well, it's okay. That's not right. It's not that it allows you to not have to deal with changes. What it is regardless of the change that occurs, you are still safe and secure because it comes from within. So you look at it and you deal with it head on. So that's really what it is. I think I'm gonna go across the street. It's already 22 minutes. I mean, I'm feeling pretty not... I'm not dealing with excessive heat, so I'm feeling good enough to walk more. But yeah, so this is why I think working on the inner safety and security, that's why it's so powerful, is because when you, like, regardless of the situation you're in, you know you're safe, you know you're secure. Even in situations that are, from a material standpoint, fucked. So the question kind of becomes, what is that last little break point to allow for that internally? And maybe that is the thing, allowing. What am I allowing? I'm kind of working through it right now as we're doing the walk. What am I allowing? Allowing myself to feel safe and secure. Why do I have to allow for myself to feel that? Clearly there's something here. I'm just trying to figure out, like, okay, why do I have to allow? Or on the reverse, why am I holding back that feeling. Hey guys, you're fine. So, there's me holding back. Why am I holding back? Well, is there some part of me that feels like I don't deserve? Is that why I'm holding back? I'm not too sure on this. Trying to figure out, like, where's the, like, holding back? Because I do feel like, to a certain extent, there is a deep sense that I am coiled up, ready to kind of release myself. But it feels like I'm waiting. So, what am I waiting for? I guess it comes back to the savior thing. Fundamentally, why do I have to coil up and wait? Why do I have to wait? I mean, I don't. Fundamentally, I don't have to wait. I just am. Okay, well, so I'm waiting. But I don't have to wait. So what changes if I no longer wait? What changes if I stop waiting? I'm really thinking about this. So it's like, what changes? I guess it's feeling okay. I think I understand. It's the idea that okay. I think I get it. So it's the idea that I can't fully put all my effort and focus into something because I have to be wary, because I don't feel safe and secure. So I guess that means in order to work through it, the thing I need to do is put my full focus and attention on things. Because when I do, it signals, okay, I understand. Okay. It's like I need to prove to myself that I am safe and secure by fully kind of putting everything into my projects. No holding back. Because when I do that, it's like a reverse thing where it's like I'm not holding back, and because I'm not holding back, I must be safe and secure, and then it clicks into place. So it's almost like I'm like proving that the safety and security has been there this whole time. Do I want to keep walking? I'm thinking about it. I could go to the store. What do I need at the store? Don't really need anything. I mean, I guess I can just walk there and get some stuff. I didn't bring my bag. I could go upstairs and get my bag. Do I want to do that? Maybe I just buy like one thing. Okay, so I could go to McDonald's for the early morning cafe. I kind of don't want to do that. I'll save that for the afternoon. But okay, so I think I am onto something here. So basically, the way to allow myself to feel safe and secure is by doing the things that I would want to do if I feel safe and secure. And what are those things? It's working on the projects without truly immersing myself in the projects fully. So what does that look like? I think that looks like me just full tilt grinding the projects, regardless of where I am. So it's like, again, it's the things that I am talking about doing, but kind of just letting myself fully immerse in the projects, which inevitably means, yeah, okay, so that's really the thing that I've been missing, is that full immersion, because I feel like there has to be part of me that is keeping an eye out. And it's almost like you can't get too immersed, because if you're too immersed, then you don't see the external world around you. And when you don't see the external world around you, then there's potential that you could be in danger. So really, it's all about allowing myself to fully immerse. Because when I do that, I'm signaling that everything's okay and it's safe. And conversely, so long as I don't immerse myself, then I'm signaling it's not safe. Okay. I understand. So, I guess I was kind of already working on it. I was already working towards it. This idea that I can be safe and secure regardless, because the plan has been to start building the daily habits. But I think going like just release the brake and full press the gas down. I think that's what I need to be doing. Because if I do that, then, oh, by the way, this is the supermarket. I'll show you guys. This is the supermarket. Yeah, if I full press on the gas, that's gonna be huge. I'm gonna let you guys go, and I'll be back in a little bit. Bye. All right, I'm back. Sorry. I don't know. I didn't realize that the bag that I picked, I needed to scan it. I did the like normal bag thing. I didn't see any normal bags, so I was like, oh, I guess this is the normal bag. No, you got to scan this bag. I'm like, ah. So, so yeah. But anyway. So that's good to know for the future. This is a pretty nice bag though, so I'm not sad about it. But anyway, so what was I saying? So I think fundamentally allowing myself to be full invested in my projects, I think is the like, I think that's the sticking point. Because once I do that, I'll be able to well, for lack of a better term, I'll be able to fully let go, because I'll be in the process of creation and I won't be hamstringing myself because I'm worried about, you know, what's going to happen or whatever. So I think that is the true the majesty of allowing yourself to fully immerse in your projects. So I think that's what I'm going to do, is just fully immerse in the projects. So not just cultivating the daily routine, but actively spending most, if not all, of my time working on it. Because I need to just focus on the process, not the outcome. Which, isn't that just kind of circling back to the whole point of all of this? To immerse yourself completely in the process and to really let go of what you want or think the outcome should be. So what does that look like? Well, I mean, that means that I need to spend most of my time doing it. Doesn't mean that I can't have like relaxing and enjoyable breaks or whatever, but it does mean that I guess I'll go this way. It does mean that I can I don't know, just enjoy the process fully. Enjoy the moments of me tinkering on stuff and working on it, because that is what I do love doing. So if I'm just doing that, and I don't, you know, I'm not trying to log specific hours. I am just letting go of the process and just doing what I feel makes sense. Hold on. I just realized I was gonna walk in while I was recording. I'm gonna let you guys go. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Hello. It is 2:15 in the afternoon. And I wanted to okay, I was watching this this random video popped up that I don't normally watch this person's channel, not because that they're not like good or anything. But I don't know. Like there was just some reason why I just never ended up like watching it. Whatever their videos are. And they're in the spiritual space and all of this stuff. And it was so interesting how this one video was talking about how they were feeling like they didn't feel super genuine with their like spiritual stuff, where it felt almost manipulative. The way that they kind of would make the videos or whatever. Um, and again, it's not like, they explained how it's not like they were being intentionally manipulative or anything like that. It was more like they didn't feel as genuine. And so, they did a little story time and this whole thing. And they ended up like, yeah, I probably should like do vlogs more. And I thought it was interesting how that was the video that popped up. And they were talking about like, oh, you got to do your spiritual cleansings. You got to do this. You got to do that. And, you know, it kind of got me thinking. It's like, no, you actually don't. But it's not, I don't know how to describe this because it's like, it literally, it's a thing where, this is like an observation of bubbles. And one of the things that I've observed in the spiritual bubble is this idea that, oh, you got to cleanse your energy. If you don't cleanse your energy, like you're gonna open yourself up to all sorts of bad stuff, or the cleansing of the energy is like, it's like so important, and I do it every day, and I do this practice, um and it's kind of like, it's almost like there's a fear about not cleansing your energy, where it's like, well, if I don't cleanse my energy, like everything bad's gonna happen. And it's like, obviously that's not what they're saying, but that's like the implied meaning behind you having to cleanse your energy in the first place. Like, what is cleansing energy actually? Like, at its roots. Like, if you picture, okay, I have energy, and my energy is not good enough in some facet, and so I need to cleanse it. And this is the mindset that I think is like super destructive. The reason I say that is because you're limiting yourself by effectively saying, I'm not good enough as I am with the energy I have, and that somehow I need to fix the energy because it's not right. When you do that, it's like you're rejecting part of yourself, because you are everything, right? So because you are everything, there isn't one single piece of you that is like, needs to be cleansed and purified. You just are. And when you start trying to do the spiritual thing of like, okay, I woke up today and I laid in bed for an hour. God, my spiritual energy. Clearly, clearly I need to cleanse my energy, because you're not supposed to be like sitting in bed. You're not supposed to be scrolling on TikTok or whatever the fuck it is, right? And sorry, I'm actually very passionate about this, because it's like, it's one of those things where when you're within the spiritual bubble, it's like, well, yeah, of course I got to cleanse my energy. Everyone else does it, so it makes sense for me to do it as well. Same thing with like, okay, well, I gotta always be like incredibly mindful of like, um I don't know. We could like every single moment of every day, you need to be mindful of exactly what you're doing and have intentionality with it. Otherwise, you're doing it wrong. You need to be doing your meditations and your prayers every single day, or else you're doing it wrong. You need to um, you need to be grateful for every single thing, because if you're not, then suddenly it's a bad thing. And it's like the problem with all of this is you're ritualistically structuring your life around this, like, I don't know. It's like you're effectively turning yourself into a spiritual, like, it's like you're putting yourself in a spiritual box and you're saying anything outside this box is wrong. And that's why we need to constantly purify ourselves, because we do things that aren't inside the spiritual box. And we immediately think, well, this is wrong because it's the spiritual box. The spiritual box tells me I need to do these things. The spiritual box says, there are energy vampires that I need to protect and ward against, or there's, if you suddenly like think a certain thing, well, it just means you need to do more healing. If you don't look exactly the way, if you don't like have a full cleansed body, if you don't have this, that, and the other, um, if you're not, if you have a lack mindset and you're not abundantly mindset, you're doing it wrong. And it's like, it's so interesting that within a spiritual practice or just the spiritual bubble, there are so many things that are considered wrong. It's like, why is that? Is it because it's like you're trying to like spiritually enlighten and all of this other stuff? Or is it another version of ego trying to say, I am better because I am acting this way? Is it not just another mask that you put on, a box that you sit in, because you've decided that, well, now I need to be spiritual. And so spiritual looks this way. So there's the spiritual mask. All right. I'm in the spiritual box. Cool. Now, any parts of me that are outside of this, those are bad. I need to cleanse those. What I want to go play a video game? Cleansing time, because you're not. That's not a spiritual thing. You want to go down to the store and eat a bag of Cheez-Its because you just decided you wanted to eat a bag of Cheez-Its? That's spiritual lack. You're trying to, whatever, right? And so what I'm trying to get at here is that spirituality has some really awesome teachings and techniques, just like any other like bubble. But when you get into the weeds, it can kind of consume your whole life. And so I've noticed a lot of people that I see doing spiritual content or whatever, they always focus on like you got to do your cleansings, you got to have the mindset at all times. If you have like things that happen, it's like it's okay, but now you need to cleanse yourself. Now you need to do the rituals or the things or the this and the that, whatever, right? I'm not saying all spiritual practitioners are doing this. But what I am saying is there's this never ending grind mindset where you're constantly doing the cycle, where you're looping back around, you're re-examining things, it's similar to like back when I first started this whole journey of recording. The the mentor guide person that I was interacting with, they were so sure that like, yeah, you haven't even started your journey, you don't even know what you're doing, like, and I'm like, you just don't see me at all. And it's like there's nothing wrong with that, but it's kind of like, you're trapped in the loop, that endless cycle of having to excavate. You do. Here's kind of here's an example. I talked about how like when I was younger, my father was abusive. And I won't go into specifics. You can go and watch the past, the video of the like my past stuff, but like, or videos, because I don't remember how many. It was a while ago. I say a while. It's been less than a year, but like those videos feel like so long ago. But anyway, so it'd be like if I went to those videos and I was like, every couple months, I made another video talking about the same thing again. But this time, I'm going to look at it from a different angle to try and like excavate more. And so it's like the videos I made were to bury and like effectively just say, that part of my life is over. I do not need to go back to like interact with that part of my life anymore, because I've learned what I needed to learn, and I'm carrying forward my past self. I've crystallized that understanding, and okay, have I learned perfectly everything I was supposed to learn from each individual scenario? I mean, there's probably more I could excavate, but it's like, why bring a backhoe into a graveyard and start digging up corpses when the corpses are perfectly fine being rested there? Like, you've done the service, you've said goodbye, and maybe you put flowers occasionally at the gravestone, maybe you clean the gravestone, whatever, but like, you don't need to dig it up and look at the corpse again. And I think that's what spirituality kind of does, is they show you how to kind of do it once. And then most people are like, well, now I got to do it again, right? Because I didn't get everything the first time. And it's like, no, like, you are fine. You did what you needed to do. You went through it. You learned. You seriously kind of, like, okay, if you can talk about whatever the like thing is, so in the instance, like, okay, dad being abusive, me hiding in the closet, I can talk about stuff like that and not get emotional about it, it means I have done my due diligence with that thing. Can I learn more from it? Sure. But is there a point in trying to rehash it? Probably not. Like, and this is kind of where I think a lot of people kind of go wrong. And I say go wrong. This is like in quotations because I don't think you can really go wrong in the traditional sense. But I think people really get trapped in this idea that it takes multiple times of like cycling through. You know, you got to do the cleanses every like couple days because the buildup, there's a buildup of all this negative stuff. It's like, what buildup? Like, I don't know about you, but like for me, I don't have a fucking buildup of just like the bullshit. I don't know. Um, and I think about how I realize part of it is they're so focused on the past and focused on stuff that did happen that they're not kind of proactively doing the work on the present. And this is where I think there's a dividing line. If you're always looking back and trying to fix and heal and do all this stuff in the backlog, you're going to continue to have a backlog because you're not looking at the present. You're not dealing with the present. And so once you finish the backlog, you need to proactively be using those skills on the present. So this is where it's like, it doesn't have to be right in the moment. And that's where it's like, well, you're just looking at the backlog. That's not, obviously what I'm talking about here is like, you've seen me do this a few times where I have kind of a scenario like I got here. I have a freak out. I didn't record that freak out. It was like, it wasn't even like a super big freak out, but it was just like there was anxiety and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm here and it's happening. And it's like, oh wow, this is overwhelming. Right. And then later I talk about it and I'm like, I talk through it and then that's it. I just let it go. You don't need to hold on to it. You let it go. And then you go to the next thing. And so this is why consistently, like, it may look from an observer perspective like I'm all over the place, where some days I'll start out by talking about like, oh, everything's beautiful and wonderful. And then later in the day, I'm like, oh my God, this crazy thing happened. And I start working through it and I'm like, oh, this is whatever, right? But in all these scenarios, it's like I'm letting things bubble up in the moment. I'm not storing them for later. And that's kind of the key difference is we're very used to, if we have a backlog of things to deal with, to heal, to whatever, right? It's like once you've finished the backlog, your instinct is to make another backlog to work on. And if you don't have something that immediately shows up, you start dredging up all the past stuff. Well, clearly, I need to continue progressing. So I got to start dredging up all the past with the backhoe. And I think, again, this is where you get trapped. You do the endless cycle of making another backlog. And when you make another backlog, you include all the things that are happening in the moment in that backlog. And so it feels like progress because you're like, I just cleared out another backlog. Oh my gosh. And I got all the way up to today. So all the stuff that happened in the past, month or two, I finally got to deal with that. And it's like, why are you doing this in a very inefficient manner? Instead, deal with it when it happens. Like, don't let it sit and fester. You know, it's similar to like, okay, you're in a war and you're going from battle to battle and you're injured, and finally you go to the medic and you get all like patched up, you get everything like healed to the best of your capabilities, and you're like, good. And the war's over, and now you're like back home and you scrape your knee. You don't have to treat the scraped knee like it's on a battlefield. You can go to the doctor and get it cleansed right away. You don't have to wait for 6 months, let it fester, have something fucked up happen, and then be like, oh, now I got to go to the doctor because, you know, now it's too much for me. You have to change the mindset that you have towards backlog and all of that stuff. You don't need a backlog anymore. You're past that. And so this is where I think a lot of people get tripped up, because it's like, yeah, you're not in survival anymore. You've gone past that situation. So start acting where you are, because guess what? You're not in survival. So why are you acting like you're in survival still? Like, okay, maybe you act like you're not in survival most of the time, but when it comes to the backlog, you're like, I got to throw it on my back. And then it builds up, and then you go through it, and then you feel like you've like learned something, and you're like, oh, it feels so good to cleanse all of that. And it's like, you have not updated your model. So you need to update. Go to patch 1.1. Stop using patch 1.0. It's outdated. It's no longer needed. And so this is kind of where the blind side of spirituality comes into play. Well, there's always something to work on. Yeah, but, you know, we could say that about anything. You know, an example, you clean a room, and you're like, I could scrub the walls again. It's like, yeah, but why? Like, you did it once, and it looks good. It doesn't look perfect, but why does it need to be perfect? And it's never going to be perfect, because it's not a perfectly made wall. It's not, you know, the wall ages. So why do you have to make the wall look like it was brand new? Like, it's okay to have discoloration on the wall. If you want to paint over it, that's fine, you know, whatever. Like, but you don't have to repaint over it every 2 seconds. Oh, it's time to paint this week. It's like, that's silly. No one would ever do that. You would never do that. You'd paint over it every couple of years, give it a brand new coat of paint. But like, yeah. And of course, the biggest thing is you would never take the wall down and then rebuild the wall just to say it's a new wall. Like, that seems ludicrous. But that's what people do all the time in spirituality. Is they're like, all right, time to take the wall down. I just, you know, it's not new enough, so I gotta build the wall back from scratch. It's like, why are you doing that? So yeah. So this whole business of cleansing and like, oh, there's some energy that's impure or tainted, or there's dark people or spirits, or there's vampires, or there's this, that, and the other. It's like, that's all bullshit. And why is it bullshit? Because people are going to say, no, I've had experiences of people doing this thing or having this experience happen to me. I've had my energy drained. I've had this, that, the other. That could be true from your perspective. Very true. And so I'm not discounting that. But what I am saying is it's all part of the spiritual mindset where it's like you're opening yourself up to the idea that there are spiritual vampires. And so, because you've opened yourself up to the idea that spiritual vampires exist, now you have to do a counter thing to counter the spiritual vampires. Because otherwise, you're going to have your energy drained. Do you see how it's like you're creating the problem and then creating a solution to the problem instead of just that's not a thing? And I'm not saying to say none of it exists. What I am saying is you are in complete control of your existence. That includes your energy. No one can take your energy. You give it to people. It may be subconscious, but you're in complete control of your energy at all times. No one can hold your energy away from you. And so it's important to remember that if you have complete autonomy of yourself, your energy, your space, your environment, how you act, what you say, all of these things, then you don't need to cleanse your energy because you just are. You just exist. There's nothing to cleanse. Like, it'd be kind of similar to like living in a house and then outside there's bugs. And you're like, well, we need to kill every single bug in the backyard. It's like, well, why? Well, because, we need the backyard pure. And so, I don't like seeing the bugs. It's like, well, the bugs are part of nature. They're a part of the backyard. They're living their lives. They're doing their thing. You may find it annoying to see the bugs, but like, they don't need to be cleansed. They're all a part of like reality. Now it'd be different if it's like, okay, there's a bug in your room and you're like, it's annoying that it's in my room. Okay, maybe it's the wrong space, and it's totally your prerogative to put the bug outside, right? But imagine going over and individually inspecting each like blade of grass and then capturing the bugs and then throwing them to the other neighbor's yard and saying, yeah, I got them. See, I cleansed my yard. It's like, what? Like, again, it's one of those things where it sounds ridiculous when I use another example. But it isn't ridiculous when it comes to spirituality. Why? Because like there's a preconceived notion that some energy is like pure, and then there's other energy that's not pure. Who decides what's pure and not pure energy? Like really think about that for a second. Is it impure to want to lay down in your bed? Is it impure to walk around because you decided you're going to walk around instead of doing something else? Like, the more we kind of dig into this idea of what is pure energy and what is impure energy that needs to be cleansed, you see it starts to break down, because it's like, okay, we could say like, all right, maybe you have a thought where it's like, oh my gosh, I hate the way that dress looks on this person. Okay, there you go. And you're like, oh, the impure energy has tainted me again. Because clearly, like, that thought is like an impure thought. It's like, well, we're thinking about it. Like, why, instead of like trying to do a clearing ritual and you're like, okay, now I'm pure again. What if you just like examined the thought and we're like, why did I think that? And, I could say, like, there are certain people who are really deep on their spiritual journey and they're like, okay, I don't have that kind of stuff happen to me. I'm talking about the random, inexplicable feeling tired or, whatever it is, where it's more like it's like a deeper level. Okay, I got you. When that happens, I want you to just sit with yourself for a second. Instead of thinking of the feeling as unnatural, if you think about it as what is my mind, my body, my spirit trying to tell me with that feeling instead, that changes things. Because it's no longer about cleansing yourself. It's about, okay, this is happening to my current existence to tell me something. There's some sort of experience I'm having. What is the reason why I'm having it? Examining it, kind of like, okay, like it was like a week ago or a couple days or whatever it was, when I had that like laying in bed. And I was just laying in bed and I'm talking through the thing where I'm like, I hate that I feel this way. And it's like, why do I hate the thing? And it's like, I worked through it and I ended up just laughing at the whole absurdity of the whole thing, where we can get so kind of wrapped up and kind of up our ass about like having to have, again, the spiritual mask on of like needing to be a certain way, otherwise we're not enlightened, or we're not like, we haven't done the shadow work, even though you have. And it's like some person says, well, it's never enough, and then you subconsciously believe it because maybe it's a super high guru that you listen to or whatever. It's like, you're not trusting yourself. And you're not trusting that your experience is exactly the way it should be, both good and bad. Because at the end of the day, it's not good and bad. You may perceive it as a challenge in the moment, but it's not actually good and bad. What it is you've kind of created two buckets. And you say the experience is in one of these two buckets. Why? Why does an experience have to be in one of those two buckets? Here you go. That was a good experience. Good bucket. Here you go. This is the bad experience. Bad bucket. We have all these like, it's so interesting. The more I think about this, the more I'm like actually mind blown at this. We keep telling ourselves, well, yeah, of course we're going to go through difficulties throughout our whole life. Think about that sentence for a moment. Think about how it's like, why do you feel like you're going to have to go through difficult / bad / whatever you want to call it, right? Negative moments. why do you feel like you're going to have to go through this your whole life? Think about it for a second. Because the more I kind of analyze this good and bad, the more I kind of realize that that construct, which again, it is a construct, that construct is just like the lack mindset that a lot of people talk about. Oh, well, if you're in the lack mindset, then you can't have the abundant lifestyle because you're in the lack mindset, and you got to switch your mindset to like abundance and all of this stuff, and then the abundance shows up, and that's technically true. But also, the underlying foundation of why it's true is not because you're saying um, you're in a lack mindset so you can't. It's because the abundance mindset shifts your perspective. It's not about the mindset itself. It's about shifting your perspective on how you're visualizing things and what you're saying to yourself. So it could be anything. You could shift your mindset about anything and it'll work. We only talk about shifting it the one way, but you can just as easily shift it a different way, where it's like, okay, I'm going to have the balance mindset where everything is in balance. And so if I have one good thing happen to me, then a bad thing happens to me. That's a mindset you can have. I don't know if it's necessarily like, I don't want that kind of mindset, but like, you can just shift your mindset to that. And then like it starts happening, you start noticing it. But what does the shift in mindset actually accomplish? Does it change what happens to you in the future? No. Not in the way you would think. It's more about, because you have a certain mindset, the outcomes that happen because of a scenario will kind of chain in a different way. So I'll give you a really easy example here. If on day one of me getting here, when I had that like panic, freak out thing, whatever, if my perspective on it was, I'm gonna have a bad thing happen before I get to have the good thing happen, and I'm like, oh, this is the bad thing. And then the whole trip, I would be thinking about this space as being the bad thing that I have to endure in order for the good thing to happen. Now, think about how different my experience would be if I thought this space was bad. It's not, by the way. It's a great space. But in the moment when I first got here, because it was unfamiliar and I was like worried and freaking out a little bit and I was like overwhelmed, if I categorized this as a bad space, I would have had a much worse time here, because every time I would come back here and be like, oh, I'm back in the bad space. I gotta endure the bad space so that I can go and enjoy the good space. And so a simple mindset shift can make a huge difference on outcomes, because you treat things the way your mindset views them. So if you view it as a good thing, like I love this space because I have a really great AC, I have plenty of room, I have like enough room to put up the what's it called? The hangers for the clothes. I got a kitchen. The bathrooms almost never, like, there's never been a problem with the bathrooms when it comes to like, two people being in there at the same time. It's relatively quiet, relative to like how it could be. You know, obviously, people are living here, right? But I've thoroughly enjoyed being here. There's like great roommates, um, and yeah, like the location is good. I've really enjoyed like uh just walking down. There's like a convenience store. There's a mart, or there's like a grocery store. There's good food. I can't really ask for much more. Um, Now, I just listed all of these things that I really enjoy about the place. I wouldn't have seen any of them if my mindset was that this was a bad place. Instead, I would be looking for the bad things. An example, like, okay, one of the tiles, the wood tiles, when I didn't have socks on, my foot sucked onto the tile and it popped off. And I'm like, wow, that's really silly. I put it back on. Now, if I thought it was like really cute because it was like, oh, this is like the secret stash. You can hide your money or whatever. It's very funny. But like, if I had thought, oh, this is a bad space, I might have really seriously like been like, oh my gosh, the tile's popping off again. Jeez, I can't even do the tiles right. And it's like, what does that accomplish when you rile yourself up over effectively nothing? Again, it's the perspective. I can look at it, and because this is the key. Because my perspective is set that regardless, like, I can't have a bad outcome. And I know that sounds weird, but it's like, if an outcome that at first feels unfavorable, if that outcome happens, it's because it's trying to teach me something. So it is a teaching moment for me. And I get excited because even though in the moment it's kind of like it's an experience where I'm like, oh my gosh, like maybe I'm overwhelmed, or maybe I'm like, like the scamming thing or whatever, right? Could be any scenario. But when I'm experiencing that moment, I go into like observer mode of like, okay, I'm going to try and map as much of this experience as possible so I can deconstruct it later in the day once I've had time to digest it. And then later in the day, I talked about, the experience. I talked about why I did what I did. And, I kind of learned some things. Now, when I do this, and I'm getting better and better at doing it, where it's like, it's tough for me still to kind of do it in the moment because I'm trying to absorb everything. So it's like my full focus is on absorbing the experience so that then later I can kind of break it down. Is you always have downtime later. Even when you're in like crazy movement or whatever, there is downtime, whether it's going to bed or whatever. There is going to be downtime. And so I just want you guys to think about how different of a life you can live when you see everything as some sort of positive outcome, which is the way I'm kind of seeing life. I either have an experience that in the moment I'm super excited to have and I'm enjoying it, or I have an experience where I'm trying to absorb what the experience is trying to tell me. And then later down the line, I get some sort of enlightenment or some sort of like progress towards like understanding more. So there isn't a bad outcome when I'm in that state of mind, because the bad outcome is not bad for me. Like genuinely it's not. That's why I talk about like when I was talking to the friend who ended up leaving early, um he we were sitting down near a fountain. I had just like drank some of the this stuff, the electrolyte stuff. And I was telling him, I was like, man, I am so glad. This is like this has been such a great day. And he looked at me like, what? like like how could it have been a great day? You like got dehydrated, had a heat stroke, like fucking earlier you got scammed before you saw me. Like, how is this a good day for you? Um and it's like I understand that. It's like most people don't see it that way. And so fundamentally, if you see things as good and evil, bad and good, whatever, right? When you do the bucket thing, well, you're going to have experiences that are going to be challenging. And when you see the challenge as a bad thing, yeah, you're not going to have a great time because you see it as a bad thing. So it's like I can't really explain how I made the shift. It's like it just happened because I really did start just seeing everything as challenges that were going to make me grow. And because I love growing, like fundamentally, that is something I enjoy. I enjoy progression and growth. Because the challenges give me growth, I'm excited when a new challenge shows up because that challenge is going to help me grow in a way that I couldn't see with my normal way of like parsing things. I can grow by myself just fine. But there are obviously things that will show up that will challenge you in ways you didn't expect. And that's where a lot of like really big growth can happen. So that's why, like, fundamentally, it's like, yeah, everything's great. I'm having a great time. I'm so glad that I experienced this. I think about how, like, I'm so glad that I was there and we hung out. That was the only day we got to hang out for the whole time he was here. And it's really sad because I wish we could have hung out more. But yeah, like I'm really sad that we didn't get to hang out more. But also, I cherish the time I did have. And at that same token, me being sad about not being able to hang out more shows me that it's another thing I'm learning, which is like in this moment. Sorry, I'm like breaking for a little bit. Like in this moment, I'm learning that I want to hang out more with people that I start getting to know or whatever. And so it's like, yeah, I didn't reach out. Like I said, hey, we should hang out again or whatever on the weekend, or and he had his own plans. But it's very possible that I could have hung out on like Saturday or Sunday if I reached out proactively and was like, hey, did you want to go grab some food? Did you want to chat for a little bit? Whatever, right? So in the future, when I get into a scenario where there's someone new that I met and I want to hang out with them more, asserting that I want to hang out with the person and saying, hey, maybe coming up with something where it's like, let's go grab some food, let's go walk around or whatever. Being more upfront instead of waiting for him to invite me somewhere. This is kind of like, this is what I'm talking about. That's why I was like super pro. I thought about like how subconsciously I already knew this because I proactively asked the current roommate that's still here. He's leaving the same day I am. I asked him, hey, do you want to like get do like another like hangout before we leave? It'd be cool. So we're gonna do that on the 14th, which is tomorrow. So yeah, so we're gonna go, and I don't know where the like good sushi place is. It probably is gonna be better than the sushi that I had before. But the sushi I had before was so good, so it's like, damn, if that sushi was good and he's saying that was mid sushi relative to the other sushi, I'm gonna be so excited for this other place. It's gonna be so good. So it's gonna be really fun. So again, it's something where it's like, if I didn't like try to proactively kind of make it happen, it wouldn't have happened. Not because he wouldn't have wanted to, but just because I didn't ask, right? So yeah. Anyway, I kind of have like lost my steam because I don't really know where I'm going with this at this point. But I guess at the end, I think there really does need to be a mindset shift when it comes to like spirituality, because you can live in the spiritual bubble forever effectively, and a lot of people do. Once they find it, they're like, oh, this is a really great space and I want to stay here forever. But again, there are limitations with doing that. So this is as someone who traverses all the different bubbles and kind of enjoys and experiences the stuff, condenses what I've gathered from the bubble, and then moves on. Do I make spirituality every waking moment of my existence? No. But I've used all the principles of spirituality to fundamentally build a structure that allows for me to be mindful and be genuine without really worrying about the details. So, which I think is like, if you look at the highest level, the enlightenment level, where there are people effectively being themselves at all times, embodiment of them. That embodiment it's something where they talk about the spiritual principles, they talk about spirituality and all of this stuff, but they also just, like if they like, for an example, there's a guru called Sadhguru, that he does a whole thing. And I used to really be like, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'd watch all his videos. And I like did a whole like meditation thing where I was a part of the like little foundation thing back during COVID. And yeah, it was a big thing. But like something that I noticed about him is the things he enjoys doing, he just does. It doesn't like it doesn't negatively impact spirituality because he's gotten what he needs from spirituality, and he's living his life the way he feels called to live. He's going and like doing like motorcycle stuff and whatever it is, right? But it's like it's immediately obvious when someone is at that kind of level of understanding because they just are themselves. Because at the end of the day, that's what we need to be, is just ourselves. You don't need masks. You don't need any like special rituals. You don't need to go through 10,000 years of meditation. You just need to be yourself. And it's, for a lot of people, that ask is the scariest ask, because when someone or something isn't a fan of that version of you, you are vulnerable, or at least it feels vulnerable. You're not actually vulnerable, but it feels vulnerable to just always be yourself. Do I think that everyone in the world should watch my videos? No. Do I care if everyone in the world watches my videos? No, of course not. Are there going to be people in the future who are going to watch my videos? Yeah, most certainly. Do I care? No. Because at the end of the day, I just need to be me in every moment. And I evolve. So like the me from 6 months ago is very different from the me now. And that's good. Because if I was the same person 6 months ago, man, like, what have I been doing? So at least for me, again, that's not everyone, but like for me, like the evolution is like a core component of who I am. So yeah, it's just being unapologetically you. When you do that, it's kind of like there's just this invisible burden that gets removed from you. Because whenever you have a mask, even if it's closely related to you, it's not exactly the same as you. So there's going to be pieces of that mask that leave you exhausted. I think about like, oh, well, I gotta have super crazy wisdom because I'm in the spiritual like thing, and I'm doing meditation every day, so I need to give spiritual words of encouragement and enlightenment every day. And if I don't do that, then I'm not a spiritual teacher, and that's a mask, right? You don't need it. You don't need it. Just be yourself. If spiritual help and enlightenment and words, they'll just come naturally. They'll flow out of your mouth. You don't have to think about, oh, I need to do this is why I don't like shorts. Not that I think shorts are bad, but like this is why I'm kind of hesitant to make shorts. Because it's like if I make a short specifically for the short, then it's like, okay, I need to make some sort of catchy little thing that can get them to like click on it. And then it feels really like, feels almost scam-ish. I'm not saying it is. Like, obviously shorts do lead to people like watching your videos. Um it happened with like Kumi, where I watched a couple shorts of her and I thought it was very funny, and so I watched her stream. So it's like that stuff happens, but you know, I think probably if I am gonna make shorts, it'd probably be just out of the videos I have. Which again, it's like, I don't want to edit. I'm a little baby. So yeah, but someday, I will. I still have. Oh god, there's like so many videos I still want to make. So letting it go. When I make them, I will make them. But yeah, so I also thought about how like the videos that are long, like this is already an hour and 2 minutes, and I did like 40 minutes of like walking around or something, and I think about it, I'm like, you know what, if people are not gonna like watch the like video, that's okay. Like, why should I care about whether less people watch a video because it's long? So I'm like, fuck it, like I'm gonna make them as long as I want to. And they're just missing out. That's really what it is. If they're not going to watch the video, they're missing out on a lot of cool stuff. So at least I think it's cool. So that's why I'm making them. But anyway, so that is my little spiritual talk. I must have said something about this before in the past, but it just felt right to bring it up again. So anyway, I'm gonna go. I think is this gonna be it for the day? Yeah, I think I'm gonna call it for the day. So I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Last day tomorrow. Yay. Bye.